Yeah, during my one day, Maharaj was going for attend GBC meeting in the lift going up. So we pressed the button and we kind of stopped him on the way. He was going up. But as I also boarded the flight of the lift, well, someone pressed the button and the lift was going down. Hey, we are going down. I kind of said to Maharaj, being with you, Maharaj, no one goes down. They only go up. He kind of gesture. Why are you talking? In case you really think. And then he comes here to Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai, and stayed busy, including I was told he did shopping for Radha Giridhari gift shop. He was going around and doing shopping in such a state of health. And then, he goes for darshan of Sri Ranganath, which is Krishna in the town. And after his return, he was feeling, all these things. He was feeling exhausted, he was resting, and peacefully, he departed, taking rest or residing in Vrindavan eternally. Eno Prabhu, Vasadera, Badrinarayan, as is the song of Narottam Das Thakur. Where has he gone? Where has this one gone? That one gone? That one gone? That one gone? It's more listen to that song. So we could add another name. Where has Badrinarayan Maharaj Thakur gone? And of course, we know the answer also. The point being is what is the most distressful thing? Rai Ramanand was asked by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Rai Ramanand and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dialogue. What is the most distressful? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, separation from the devotee. Separation from the devotee is the most distressful thing to experience. So, departure is supposed to be departure of a Vaishnava. Vaishnava like Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj. Supposed to mix bag, or mix feeling, called harsha and shok. Harsha is a joyous occasion. Well, where has he gone? He has gone back to Krishna. He has gone to Prabhupada. reason for us to be happy and joyous. At the same time, we are this death business must be a real thing, right? We cannot associate with him anymore or have dealings with chastise or devotee Nandan Prabhu or something else, or appreciate even other Vaishnavas. A lot of times during Mayapur meetings and morning programs, there was another thing. Maharaj was very exemplary. So for the morning program is concerned, he was a staunch follower of the morning program. Not only in Mayapur, I have seen that in Vancouver, San Diego Temple during my visits. Maharaj also, I remember hospitality, greetings, and morning program attendance, and Maharaj always being busy. I never ever saw him just sitting around doing nothing or whatever, spaced out. It was not known to him being spaced out. It was always busy. Physically, mentally, vocally, it's always busy. While in San Diego, we were wandering around, going around. We also like gardening as we were from Mansuri. That was one of his hobbies. So even going around by himself, he would always sing, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare. Always you would utter something. I noticed it many times. He would not just spaced out and just. So we lost his personal association. What else was there? When Shivaram Maharaj gave sannyas to Badrinarayan Prabhu in the courtyard of Radha Madhav in the front. It's a small ceremony, not many, and whatever reason was arranged like that. But I was there to witness, and I was very happy and proud to be there. And especially what I liked, part that I liked was, add Swami to your name. Srimad Badrinarayan. And Swami was added to his name. That is what Srila Prabhupada had done to me and Sridhar and Prithu Putra right here in Prabhupada's, we got the names in Prabhupada's quarter. We were curious to know, what were your names? Some fancy name or bhakti name, and not against that. Just Prabhupada followed well. He said, do I add Swami to your name? So that is what happened. Shivaram Maharaj add Swami to your name. So that's the next part. I don't understand what point, but he started traveling to Burma, Myanmar. And there's no special Srivas regional zonal supervisor of the country. It's not far from the border of India, Burma has a border. So he had been making a point to go there year after year after, just around micro meetings he would go and travel around and give association with the devotees, Srivas, Guru, and I was just there a few months ago and I found out how much appreciative they were of Badrinarayan Maharaj's visit of touring Burma, Myanmar. Great appreciation. So we have lost the physical association, and for that reason, all that we can do is cry and suffer and be distressful, show God lamentation. But then again, I was thinking, I suppose this is Krishna consciousness. Why would I? There is Badrinarayan, Swami Maharaj, whatever he was when he was born, in California, a person from a citizen of, and here I am from India, Indian village, and we have developed this bond of love and affection which surpasses my loving or some kind of bonds or relationship with my brothers and sisters, blood brothers, sisters, and others. I do care, but not as much as I care for my relationship with my god brothers, god sisters, and Badrinarayan Swami Maharaj. Where is this coming from? We're kind of unknown to each other, and something happened, and here we go. That you're feeling a big loss of his personality in your life. In English we say God brothers, we are all God brothers, God sisters. But in Hindi we say Guru Brata, Guru Bhai or Guru Brata. We are God brothers, means God is in the center and we are His children, and then we are brothers. But this Guru Brata, Guru Bhai is yet another dimension. Or in fact that has become the cause. Prabhupada in the center, and we all His children and now grandchildren. So Prabhupada has revived our Krishna consciousness and as a result of a loving relationships between the devotees. So I'm very thankful to Radha Giri, Krishna Balaram, especially Srila Prabhupada for giving me, when I left behind 3 brothers and 1 sister. In exchange, I had 5,000. No loss, right? I only gained 5,000 brothers and sisters. So I'm very, very proud. happy that Prabhupada gave me also Badrinarayan Maharaj as my brother, and I really love him, and cherish my relationship with him. Lord Premanandi.
Sisters, and then we have about 4 or 5 of his disciples that will be speaking as well.
When I first joined the temple, it was in Laguna Beach. Actually, at that time, so many employees were joining from Laguna Beach. As Srila Prabhupada said, it was a portal for fallen beings. And one of the first programs in Hong Kong was to a high school. And after the program, we were followed by these 2 young boys. One was very short, his name is now Shruti. And the other one was very tall and lanky, and his name was His Holiness Badrinarayan Maharaj. And I was struck at that moment about how enthusiastic he was to hear about Krishna consciousness. He seemed to have an endless amount of questions. And he had this intensity about his arrow being shot. He had a goal, and he was going for it. And it was shortly after he graduated from high school that he came to the LA camp, where he immediately started taking care of Tulsi Devi. So that's where his love for the garden came from. He had this affection for Shrimati Tulsi Devi. But the significant thing about His Holiness was that he wasn't a narcissist. He was very serious about spreading Krishna consciousness and about following Srila Prabhupada's instructions. And because of that, he rose to a very prominent position. And it was never about himself. His humility always showed brightly. One of the things I really appreciated about Maharaj was his questions after class. After class, he would ask a question that would bring out a pertinent, important point of one of Srila Prabhupada's purports. And he would ask in such a way, and he would continue to ask that question until somebody brought up the true purport. So I appreciate his classes very much. And one of the things he said in his last class, he said, there's so many things that are wrong with this body, I can believe with any minute. And I was thinking, even if we don't think we have so many things wrong with our bodies, we could leave at any moment. But he had that mindset. Because of that, he was very Krishna conscious. So thank you. Hare Krishna. Glory to Krishna.
Last 2 days he was here, staying at MIT. I was coming, I guess, around 10:30 in the morning, 2 days in a row. He was getting into the rickshaw. And of course, just getting into the rickshaw wasn't easy, and I'm thinking, where is he going? Anyone could do what he needs, but he was going to Lowy Bazaar, buying items for the needs. He was doing himself. So when I found that out, I thought, what a wonderful person.
So, who reminds me of all these other emotion of this little flea in a herd of elephants? considering that very person I was, extremely weak person. Just the other day, I was sitting in the two chairs on the side, one was Sankirtan Das, Adhikar, and there was Badrinarayan sitting beside us. And I said, "Oh, Maharaj, I'm blessed by your Sangha." And he said, "Where's your wife?" Well, she's married somewhere. And a day or two later, I heard the announcement for Badrinarayan. They let his marriage. I couldn't believe it. I said, "You say Badrinarayan?" Yes. Piercing my heart, so heavy. So, it's a very important thing. We're in a proper mood, feeling that pain of separation. The devotee sang about Jan. I'm going to read the translation here. Narayana blesses this wonderful moment of touch. What you feel the Vaishnava departs. He who brought the treasure divine love, and who is filled with compassion and mercy, where is such a personality shameless as Acharya? Where are my Swarup Damodar and Rupa Goswami? Where is Sanatan? Where is Bhagavatam, the Savior, the Father? Where are Bhagavatam, Gopal and where is Krishna das Kaviraj? Where did my Lord Gauranga, the great dancer, suddenly go? I will smash my head against the rock and bend into the fire. Where will I find Lord Gauranga, the reservoir of all wonderful qualities? Being able to attain the association of Lord Gauranga, accompanied by all these devotees in his association with one of his pastimes, Narayana Das simply means being able to attain the association of his holiday Badrinarayan or Sankirtan Das simply means. I was sitting there the other day, his body was in front of the Samadhi, and I was thinking, this is going to happen to all of us. We're all sitting there. And I was thinking, someday, will be the most horrible day when the very last disciple of Papa will be laying in front of somebody. What a crushing blow will be to this movement. Now we have the association of so many wonderful God brothers, God sisters, who will have that personal association with Prabhupada, and then we can feel such a strong connection with Srila Prabhupada, and when they are gone, it will be the big experience. So we have to learn how to attain that association by this weeping action, this mood of lamentation, smashing the head against the back mood. We can feel Prabhupada is with us right now, and all these great Vaishnavas, they're still with us right now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sankirtan Prabhu. And what Kundadat Prabhu will be speaking. And then we are ready. You're right.
Badrinarayan Maharaj was one of those persons who illustrates the difference between what it means to be meek and what it means to be humble. He had a kind of humility that was hard to appreciate sometimes. Sometimes very easy to appreciate. But he had such a deep, deep humility. And I think when I hear devotees like his beliefs, I think of Prabhupada's statement that the GBC is meant to be the watchdog of his movement. Definitely that was his view. Servant, he just embodied God's Bhava with regards to his Prabhupada's legacy and his responsibility within it. Tireless worker and at the same time very compassionate Vaishnava. How do you mix these qualities with somebody who fights so hard? You do not want to fight with someone like Badrinarayan or someone. but at the same time, such a soft heart. It's very, very rare qualification, but it's a very powerful combination, especially leaders. Well, that's why these people are leaders. But I think when you remember devotees like him, what Gita Upanishad tells us, your true friend is like a coconut. A coconut may have a very rough, harsh exterior, but very soft and sweet inside. Definitely was like that. And someone mentioned that he had empathy, very empathetic person. Krishna says in chapter 6 of the Gita that Atma is the qualification of what he considers to be the best yogis. Maybe that's because of his really deep humility, but he embodied that as well. Very sensitive, very personal, highly personal way that he had. I had so many interactions with him that I remember it fondly, and fortunately I was never on his backside, but I know that he could fight, and we appreciate that so much about him, that we have leaders like him whom we can place our faith and our confidence to be about him as Prabhupada provided, that they would protect the movement from the kinds of threats that are constant in this world, and that he could do so with such consideration and such humility, empathy, kindness, really soft-hearted person, and very, very pleasing that he was, of course, the overall all the time. When I heard his class, as soon as I heard his final class here at the government, I immediately forwarded it to many, many devotees, because it was such a powerful delivery, and just so expressive of who he was and what he was capable of communicating. Really, really recommend that you hear that again or hear it for the first time from Badrinarayan. It's a very powerful delivery of uncompromising absolute truth, but really expressed very well. We're going to miss him. Now we do not have that association anymore, but we're so thankful that Krishna arranged for him to leave the way he did. He led a glorious life, and he had a glorious death. And I don't know what we can hope for here in Vrindavan Dham. Just kind of like Gopi-Kanana, whom I was also close with. He wasn't really planning to be here. Only one day he had come to Govardhan. And then that night he died. The next day he was going to fly out to China or Moscow or something like that. So Badrinarayan Maharaj, Krishna had marked him. Krishna knew his time. Krishna has a plan for him. And Krishna is always taking care of all of us, especially someone of his character, especially someone who surrenders so much. Krishna makes sure you can have the best possible death by leaving this world and your God, going back to Godhead. Here's one of his incomparable service to the lotus feet of the Lord God. His Holiness Badrinarayan Maharaj ki jai.
Now we hear from Glorification. His wife, Father Charity, and Julia Janani. Srimati Bhakti Namaste Saraswati to such a Vaishnava. He says that when Vaishnavas are born already in also country, but it's actually when they disappear, all the qualities are mentioned. And so today I'm gaining even bigger appreciation for His Holiness Badrinarayan and Maharaj. I knew him actually when he came first to San Diego. I was the temple first serving in the US. And now I find out we had at least two lives in common. Srila Prabhupada and Naradi Hari. I used to travel actually even to Mexico to procure Badrinarayan the pure silver and like that. Then actually I joined Maharaj's, Paramani Maharaj at the time, collecting party. And so I left San Diego, and ended up here in Vrindavan. So these two places are very dear to me. One is my first lecture on Prabhupada, when my sister were introduced in 1973 to Srila Prabhupada. I had first initiation, and after this traveling from Germany all the way to collecting American and traveling here, and then going to Mayapur. I came back and stayed here, and I never wanted to leave. So I just remember one lecture that Srila Maharaj gave. He was so smart, so clever, but I liked his humor. And in that lecture, he had memorized all the jokes and witty humor of Srila Prabhupada. He gave like about 20 minutes dissertation on Prabhupada's side that yet some of us know and not everybody knows. So now I'm discovering that we have also Sankara and Nishtari and Shingari. We have also the medallion that Badrinarayan was given to Mashiach. And Srila Prabhupada gave it the name Riharidas. And also this love of, I hear now this love of gardening and his connection to Tulsi. But yeah, one time actually he was in Honolulu and His Holiness was in Honolulu. And he said, he looked at me and he said, I'm going to call it a gangster. He said, old age is not for whims. And we were both laughing. And I heard him, he was a really good expert manager. Managers, especially our positionalists like that, is sometimes have to be harsh. You have to make decisions that much of what I was saying, you have to come on, it's pretty much has to be black and white. So I had a project, several projects that brought some athletes, not too quite a lot. And I had an idea with my wife actually about glorification. It would be a great platform to showcase Krishna consciousness. At that time, we procured a very famous lawyer for the Mormons in Hawaii. And he said, you have a gold mine. So we have found 2,000 acres, and there were about 2,000 milk cows. And, make a story short, the dairy, which is an infernal dairy, was closed down. sent to slaughterhouses. So the Badrinarayan pretty much diligently, she procured homes for over 500 cows. Anyhow, we also got the loan money to procure all the equipment. And so I brought, I saw His Holiness in Honolulu, I brought the idea to him. And he looked at me and said, well, you served all your life, over 50 years, now it's time for you to relax on this project and dedicate more to Bhajan, to chanting. I was surprised. He was very busy, many people had talked to him. He was on a really short visit to Honolulu, and sort of did a little schedule of what would take, or some draft of what would take to come complete this project. But he didn't quite get it. There was so many people who still wanted to talk to him. So he said, I don't personally have any money. I said, no, we have the money. It's no problem, we procure it. But anyhow, he then said, yeah, no, you said so. And I saw that this hadn't mentioned here. He's caring. He was very personal. And now we have served so long. I promised it to Rameshwar, probably. There's another book coming and showing the DVD. And he said, probably now look how the wisdom and the books are distributed with saving humanity. Otherwise, to save yourself first. And so I saw in His Holiness this personal care about me, and what significant me. And then as he was exiting, I saw another aspect. He's so soft and advanced. I was actually, is it about crying and separation? Yes. So, like I said, I mentioned, I think one time, as he was coming to San Diego, we had a conversation on the phone. And he was telling me about the private car, and we were talking about what's best, about church cars, and he was going to drive all the way from Ann Arbor to San Diego, not to the right way. And then, that was it. We met sporadically for the years, get a strong impression, but that aspect of that caring, that softness, I've never seen before. So he completed, today thanks to my brothers and god sister, my pictures being completed. So, all glory to His great Badrinarayan Maharaj and His great service that he had done for Srila Prabhupada and humanity actually.
Thank you very much. Now we have a good way, Badrinarayan Mataji.
Namo Vishnudaya Krishna Saraswati Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityananda Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Charani Nirvisesha Sunyavani Astachardeshi. I had a correspondence with Badrinarayan in 1971 And I never met him until 1982. So the background is at that time, Tulsi debuted new in the United States. First, some seeds were planted in Hawaii, and they were successful, and there was a lot of Tulsi already growing in Hawaii, but no one could grow her in the mainland of the United States. I don't know if you're familiar, but Hawaii is about 3,000 miles from California with the ocean between it. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia, which is another 3,000 miles away. So at first, one of Prabhupada's disciples got some Tulsi plants somehow, maybe someone flew with them, and she cloned them and sent cuttings to all the temples, and all the cuttings arrived dead, and somehow or other they grew a few plants in Vrindavan. And this was the spring of 71, so they brought some plants to the Atlanta temple where I was, and there weren't very many devotees, so I was designated as Tulsi kid. I didn't have any qualifications. And then my plants were so healthy that I got the reputation as being the best Tulsi pujari in the whole movement. Of course, there weren't very many of them. And Kirtananda was visiting the Atlanta temple, and he said, "Do you have any questions about taking care of Tulsi? I'll ask your Prabhupada." So he wrote Prabhupada a few times, and I was allowed to ask questions. So I asked, "Can you prune Tulsi?" And he said, "No, but you can cut the leaves down, 2 sets of leaves, and if she dies or it's disease, if she has dying branches or disease branches, you can remove them." And I asked, "How do we fertilize her?" And he said, "Cow manure." And then I asked, "If she has the disease, can I get guidance from a non-devotee professional or expert?" And he said, "Yes." So those are the only instructions I had, and then somehow or other I was successful. So I got a letter from Ann Arbor. I think he might have been initiated from Badrinarayan, and he was presenting himself as a very new, inexperienced, humble devotee. Very nice, very wonderful letter. And he asked me for advice on taking care of Tulsi. And we had a correspondence, and I thought this is a very, as Swami Maharaj said, we're not God's sister and God brother, we're Guru Bai and Guru, I think, same sister. It was a very deep connection and a very Krishna-conscious relationship. And I didn't meet him until 1982. And I was surprised to even remember. I was the secretary to the temple president in LA at the time. And he had son to me as the president. And he made a point to come tell me, "I'm the one who was corresponding with you." So my first connection with him was as a humble gardener. And I always think of Srila Prabhupada as a transcendental gardener. So being a gardener is a very nice position to take. And I didn't see him again. I heard some of his activities where people say he wasn't being nice to other people, and so I was thinking maybe he was college or something, but I never saw him. And then he came to the Honolulu temple, and immediately, not only was he the same person, very and showing a sweetness that seems to happen to devotees. They develop like a very sweet demeanor and love for Srila Prabhupada, which extends to the God sisters and brothers and Guru Bhai. So the last meeting I had with him, I felt, well, maybe sometimes people aren't so nice, you know, but it seems like the morning chant, and also sometimes in dealings you have to be strong and think your heart. And I was thinking of him that he's like a rose with beauty, fragrance, and color that also has thorns, but the thorns are there to protect the beauty, the fragrance, and the color. So it's like a good combination. So he will be missed. And my husband was saying, when someone's birthday is celebrated, you don't know the whole story, you don't know all the words, but when they leave us, then what really really understand. And Srila Prabhupada told me once,
मेरे को डाल दीजिए मैं यूट्यूब पे पोस्ट कर दिया
and prepare to go back home, back to Godhood. And we all know that someone leaves the body of the body, especially the disciple of Srila Prabhupada, the result is perfection. So many people try to come here so they can die from Godhood, and we have no intention of that. He's doing his preaching and coming to Vrindavan and Krishna and Srila Prabhupada to be home. All glories to
मेरे को तो पर्सनली प्रभु जी ने बोला है, प्रभु जी ने बोला है, खुद ही बोला है। और मैं कभी सोचा भी नहीं था कि प्रभु जी इतना ध्यान रखते हैं। खुद ही बोले देखो रोम 2 दिन से वो खराब है, गंदे जगह में मत रहो, उसको ठीक करवा लो, जो भी होगा। तो श्री गौर प्रभु बोले ऐसे कर देंगे जो भी। तो वही बोल मैं कभी प्रभु जी ने ये दिया था गाने, बस यही बहुत है। मैं सोचा नहीं था कि प्रभु जी पर्सनली सिर्फ इतना बोलेंगे कि मतलब सोच रहे हैं उनको पता है कि रोम इतना गंदा होगा, इतने दिन से पड़ा है। तो वो तो उनका पर्सनल रूम है, तो कभी कभार ना उनका वो भाई और मैं उनका ना उसका माता जी का बहन का बहू और उसका बेटा अभी आया था एक बार। रूम गंदा था, मैंने दिखाया नहीं, मैं ऊपर से उधर से ले गया। अच्छा रूम रहा था, चलो पानी वानी खिला देते ला। एक बार खाली लवली से वो आए थे बस, वो बैठे वो देखे तो ज़्यादा कुछ बोले नहीं, भरा पड़ा है। लवलेस को लवलेस कौन है? अच्छा मत, वो मायापुर गया हुआ है, मायापुर ये बुलाया था 3 दो को गया, 2 को पहुँचा।
And I would be aghast that they would say that, but somehow or other, I'm not sure about what sometimes you do like that when you
similarly, I noticed that there had actually that the audience was taken and they could understand the information. So he had this ability to exude warmth, even through harshness. But I did want to mention that Maharaj, although I didn't know personally, I know that when he had disease, diabetes, it causes a lot of pain. That's typically what happens when you have, disease in Maharaj.
महाराज से मिलता हूँ, महाराज चार है।